All right, welcome back to another video and recording here with DFD Mastery. I'm really excited. I've got Helbert Ruiz with me, and he's this fine gentleman you see in front of you. How are you, brother?
Doing excellent. How's it going, my man?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story and helping inspire other people to get out and start taking action. He's also right here on my wall. You see him right
Yep.
here? There he is.
That's me.
My microphone. You're right here on my wall, and I'm excited. You're getting out of my office today.
Finally.
And you're going out on the success wall. So it's exciting stuff. So we're gonna talk about your experience, your journey, getting into real estate investing, and what it was that helped you be successful. So let's dive right into this. Hi, my name is Zack Boothe, and I help people just like you consistently find massively discounted properties all across the country so you can fix and flip, buy and hold, or wholesale real estate. If you need help, I have a ton of free resources, including an absolutely free wholesaling course. Click on the link in the show notes to get access to those free resources, or you can go to dfdmastery.com, click on free resources, and get access to all the free content. So what were you doing before real estate? And you're probably still kind of doing it, right? You're having to do both at the same time. So what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so I'm a photographer. So I've been doing outdoor adventure photography for the last 4 years. Actually,
are you a freelancer? Do you work for a company or
freelancer? Yes.
Okay.
So I was like doing influencer work, brand, creating ads, creating content for their website, social media, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, there was a point where I was like, okay, this is awesome. I travel a lot, but I was looking for, looking into the future, wanted a little more, in terms of creating long-term wealth. And I've always saw real estate as an opportunity. And then I come across wholesaling, and I was like, well, because I don't have any money, to invest. So I'm like, okay, what's a good way to start building some capital, right? And that's when I heard about TTP and you and Zack Boothe out there in Utah killing it. I'm like, well, let's try it out, see how it goes.
Love it. Love it. So you had mentioned that you're also living in a house that you're able to pick up seller finance. So and that's you just said that just before we went live, and I didn't know about this deal. So let's talk about that. How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was a driving for dollars lead. It was the house. I mean, I didn't think much of it, but it was vacant. I called the seller, and she mentioned that she didn't want cash for the house. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? Usually people are like,
she wants drugs for the house.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can hook you up with that.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I want someone to buy it on contract. So I'm like, okay, I've heard about this before. I've never done it, but
I've heard about this. I can do it.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Love it.
I'm like, okay, what are you looking for? Like, do you have anything in mind? And she's like, yeah, I want $200,000 for the house. I want $1,000 a month. I want 5% interest. So she kind of knew what she wanted. So I'm like, okay, well, okay, let me look a little more into this. I'm like doing a little bit of research. I was like, okay. I'm like terrified. I'm like,
I love it. So what market? Where are you? Where is this happening? Right, for the listeners.
I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. Okay.
Portland, Oregon. Yeah. So
$100,000 purchase price in Portland's actually pretty good price, right? I mean, Portland's expensive.
200,000. But
200.
200,000. But it was a good deal because everything in the neighborhood is going for 330. Like the house across the street is going for 330. So I'm like, okay, that sounds like a deal, So I'm like, okay. I'm like, cool. Like, let me look into it. And I look at the rents. Rents are like $1,600, $1,800. And she wants 1,000. So I'm like, I mean, that sounds awesome. And I was renting an apartment for $1,100. So I'm like, maybe I could just move into this house, It's a little bit cheaper.
Buy a house, why not, right?
Well, yeah, maybe I should just buy this house. And so we started negotiating, and we ended up negotiating no interest. I was like, hey, how
What?
about I give you 220 instead, no
Oh,
interest, and
so
$5,000
smart.
down. So I gave
So
her
smart.
$5,000 down, and
Yeah.
I closed on the house like a month later. So I was, going through the whole process. I got out of my
So you're
lease in my
paying
apartment
$1,000 a month, which is going straight to principal.
to, yeah, building equity.
Oh
So,
my
yeah.
gosh. So you're paying off that loan $1,000 a month, zero
Mhm.
interest. Did she
Mhm.
have a balloon payment?
Oh yes, we do have a balloon. It's gonna be
Oh,
10
okay.
years. Mhm.
Okay, so you're going to be able to pay for 10
Mhm.
years. So let's do the
Mhm.
math, okay? We're going to figure out you getting this house for 220. Oh, dude,
Mhm.
I wish I'd have known about this deal. We would have just interviewed you just for this deal. This is going to get even
Okay,
sweeter
we
because
can
there's
do that.
another deal. Dude, I'm like on cloud 9 for you, dude. This is huge. This is huge.
I'm
So
super excited. Yeah.
200 so 12,000, you're essentially putting $12,000, paying off $12,000 of that 220
Mhm.
every single year, and you're going to do that for 10 years. Do not refinance that until the last second,
Uh-huh.
right? So you're going to
Yeah.
pay off $120,000. That means you only are going to owe $100,000 on this house
Mhm.
that's worth over $300,000.
Yeah.
This is just crazy. Just crazy. I love it. It reminds me of my student Jared Frankham in Lubbock, Texas. You know Jared? So he
No,
did
not
some.
really.
Okay, so he did something similar to this on one of his deals. He got a house in his ideal location, seller finance, was able to move into it, amazing terms like you have, and now he's renting out the bedrooms and making a profit as well because he's a
Nice.
single guy. Are you a single guy? Are
I'm
you?
a single guy. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could do
Uh-huh.
that. You could
Mhm.
Airbnb bedrooms, or you could rent
Mhm.
out per bedroom, um, and
Yeah, it's on a big lot too.
probably, yeah.
So yeah, it's a really big corner lot. So I was looking
Mm-hmm.
at options. There's a company that puts like tiny houses in your backyard if you have like a big enough space, and you can like make an extra 5,000 a year or something. But you don't have to do anything. They do everything. They just set it there, and you pick the tenants and
Dude,
everything. So I was looking
wow.
into that. A little more cash flow, and so right now I'm just doing a little bit of fixing up. And yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy the opportunities that you find just by like talking to people. Like,
Oh man,
I never
I
thought I was
love it,
gonna
dude.
buy a house, but here I am.
It's so funny because it reminds me of one of my first deals where I met a motivated seller. So I was still a window washer, right? And I met
Hmm.
this extremely wealthy developer. And at that point, I had like learned about wholesaling and then given up on wholesaling because I thought it was kind of like this bunch of scammers selling a dream, right? There's no way that people
Yes,
would give their
yes.
houses away like that. And I met
Hmm.
this extremely wealthy, very intelligent developer that gave me two houses, $250,000 each. They were each worth like 350, and
Wow,
he did them seller finance, like $2,000 down for both of them, and
what a
I was
deal.
making like almost $1,000 a month profit renting them out. And a year and a half later, I sold them both and made over $100,000 profit, right? But like
Jesus.
similar situation, like it's like, and I was terrified. It's like, yeah, I can do seller finance, and I was like,
Mhm.
well, I need. Do we need an attorney to write the contracts? And I was like trying to talk them out of signing. So it's just really fun that you have that story. What a cool story for your very first deal. And I didn't even know about this deal. This deal is like very, very,
Yeah,
very
man.
sexy. It really is. Like there's a lot of people that live their whole lives wishing they could find a deal like this, because you find a deal like this and then another one and then another one and then another one. And you're going to build generational wealth, financial freedom,
Yeah,
time freedom. It's
so
amazing.
true.
So let's
And
dive
you
into
just
the
never know
deal
what you're
that,
gonna find, man. You just never know what
yep.
you're gonna find when you talk to someone. It's crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
just to think about, like, somebody sold you two houses
Yeah.
just when you're starting out, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. The
Yeah.
fact that somebody is financing me a house and I don't have to use a bank or anything like that. I mean, that's just like, what? Like, amazing.
It's crazy.
Amazing stuff happens. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, and you've got plenty of time to, I know you're self-employed, especially with doing wholesaling. You're going to be able to have 2 years on your books. You have 10 years, so you're going to have plenty of time to be able to prepare yourself to qualify for traditional
Absolutely.
financing, to
Hmm.
refinance it out, or you decide just to cash out. Maybe by then it'll be worth 400,000. You'll make
Yeah.
$300,000 profit. off of that house. You know, like there's endless opportunities. And the cool thing is if you've been living in it for at least 2 years within the last 5 years, you could sell that house sell it for the profits tax free.
That's
right.
true.
So you might, so if you stayed in it for 10 years and then sold it and made 200,000 to 400,000, whatever it's worth at that point,
no capital
you
gains,
could pocket. Yeah. There's no capital gains tax, no tax whatsoever. And that you know, check with your attorney and so forth and accountant. But yeah, like real estate is so cool because you can make just stupid money. I mean, it's just stupid amounts of money.
That's so
and
true, man.
it's exciting. It's fun. And I love hearing my students' first stories because those first deals are what get you like, oh, wow, this shit's real. Like, I want to do more of this, you know, because like once you're in it and you're doing the deals, it's just a transaction. It's just jobs, especially when you have an acquisition manager. And I don't go on the appointments anymore. And I get to live through him a little bit and talk about the deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so fun. It's so much fun for me to help you guys as well. So let's dive into the deal what I thought we were going to just be talking about. So let's talk about the one you just got and what your plans are. So how did you find this second deal?
So that was a property. So it was from Driving for Dollars. But this time it was my driver, because I hired a driver going through your program. So that was a game changer.
You're already like delegating stuff. Look at this, man.
Oh, dude.
Love it. So you
like game changer. Like I don't have to drive anymore. Like I don't even think about it. Like magically, you know, hundreds of pings just come every week. It's incredible. So she tagged his house, and you know, I went through the list. I called it. I never reached the seller on the phone. But what's interesting is that, you know, I have modules set up so that people like call back, it goes straight to voicemail. And you get a lot of voicemails, you know, so I'm like, I just ignore them, you know, it's people trying to figure out who the hell I am, you know. And it was like Saturday night and I get a voicemail again from this lady, you know, it's like the third time she called. And it was like 9 p.m. and she was like, hey, like I got a letter from you about my house. I don't want to sell my house, but I have another property that I want to sell.
You're so, like, okay.
Well, that's interesting because I never sent any letters. So what I think happened was, this is my theory. She got a postcard from someone and she called them and they didn't answer the phone. At the same time, I had call her. And so she had a couple of missed calls from me. And so she thought I was that guy, you know,
on the postcards. Oh my gosh, how crazy is that?
So I call her back and I'm like, hey, I see that you're trying to sell your house. Tell me about it.
You know what's funny? It was probably one of the other students I have in Portland that sent the postcard, and then you called.
Maybe it was like Thomas or something.
Right? Yeah, we've got a couple successful students there. Love it.
Yeah. He just had a pretty big deal. So I call her back, you know, Saturday night. I'm like, man, she's got to be motivated, you know. And so she's telling me about this house. She mentions that her business is not doing well. The tenants are not gonna be able to keep paying rent like a month from now. So I'm like, great. Like she said that the house didn't need much repairs. I'm like, okay, maybe she's you know, lying or something. Well, when can we go look at it? Yeah, because usually houses that I walk into, they need a lot of work, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, when can we go look at it? She was like, well, how about next week? And I'm like, well, are you available tomorrow, Sunday? And she was like, oh, how about Monday? Because I have to let the tenant know. I'm like, okay. And she mentioned she had to have a car. So I'm like, well, I could pick you up on Monday.
No, guys, listen to this, okay? Listen, please listen. What did Helbert do? Right? You said, okay, let's get this appointment immediately. You were willing to do it on a Sunday, right? You're hustling. And then she says, I don't have a car. He said, that's fine. I'll come pick you up. I'll drive you there. I can't tell you how many people out there would be like, well, if you can find a ride or take a bus or blah, blah, blah. Like, guys, like, make it easy for these people. They want to trade the price for speed and convenience, right? So the more convenient you can make it, the bigger deals you do. All right, so keep going. Sorry,
Absolutely.
I just want people to like grasp this.
Yeah, so she was like, I was like, okay, I'll pick you up on Monday at 11 and we'll go check out the property because it's like 25, 30 minutes from, where she lives. So I'm like,
which is perfect because then you guys can chat and build relationships.
Exactly.
Right. Like she
and I was
couldn't
a
go
little nervous
anywhere.
about that, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be sitting with this lady I've never met before. We got like
Clean the
30 minutes
car,
of
get
ride time.
ready.
I just vacuum, you know.
Yeah.
And so like the whole time, you know, we just building rapport, talking about life. She was telling me about her ex-husband, everything. She's like an older lady, super nice. And it's funny because she's like, "Are you with Rubik's Properties?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually not." So that's a local company that does flipping and everything. So that's when I realized who she was trying to get a hold of.
Mm.
And but I was like, "No, that's not me." But you know, we do the same thing. So she's like, "Okay." I mean, he's like, "Okay, I don't really care as long as you buy my house," you know.
Right.
So we go to the house, and man, like the house doesn't need anything. It just maybe needs like new carpet upstairs because there's a kid lives in the house, you know, like a baby. And so I'm walking through the house, and I'm like, man, in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe this could be my first flip, because that's one of my goals for the year, you know. One of the things I write every night, like my goals. I'm like, by the end of the year, I want to do a flip, kind of like Scott, because he's done a couple now. But a lot of the houses that I go through are
So
just like, man,
Scott Dallinger. So you guys
Mhm.
know Scott is one of my other students in Portland. That's absolutely crushing. He actually went fishing
Super
with me this
successful.
weekend. Yeah,
Yes,
super
yeah,
awesome
he's
guy.
killing it.
Good person too. Yeah, cool.
Awesome guy.
So then what? And you're
Yeah,
from
so
Colombia, aren't you? Are you originally from
from
Colombia?
Colombia, yes,
Okay,
from
yeah.
South
So Scott's
America.
wife's also from Colombia too. So
Yeah, she
yeah,
is. Yeah, who I met.
cool.
So she's
Yep.
awesome too.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So I was like, in back of my mind, I'm like, this could be the opportunity I was looking for, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we go very quickly through the property, and she asked me if I could give her a lift to the train station because she wants to go grocery shopping. So I'm like, well, what if I just give you a lift? You know, like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'll take you.
Look at this. Look at this value
Let,
you're adding to this person's life.
let's get another 30 minutes in the car, another 30 minutes of building rapport. You know, let's see if we can lock
Yep.
this up. You know. And so we keep building rapport, talking, and you know, we go into price. She's like, I want 250 for the house. And I'm like, well, you know, I can do 250. You know, eventually we agree on 206.
What is the house worth fixed up? And it
285
doesn't
to
need much.
300.
And it
No,
doesn't need much.
no, I could list it the way it is, you know, like
Wow. At that
it's
amount?
probably 260 without touching it.
260. And how
But I'm
much
hoping
work, how much money
to
do you need to put in to make it that upper end?
I'm expecting to put around 10,000 to 15 just to be cautious. That's my budget, but you know, because I've never done this before, so
Well,
it should be interesting.
it sounds like you can't lose either way. So she said how much again? Tell me that number again.
She wanted 250
And
initially.
you
We
went
ended
back
up
and
at
forth with her
206.
at
Yeah,
206, right?
at
People are going to hear
206.
this and be like, BS. How did you do that?
Well,
How
initially I
did
went
you?
lower than that, you know. I anchored a little bit
Mm.
lower, instead of like 180. And you know, she
Wow.
was
So
like,
you
well,
got,
220.
so
And you
you're
know,
brave. Right? A lot of people be terrified that she would like just kick you out of your car and steal your car for such a low number,
well,
right?
that's the thing. There's not much you can do. We're stuck in this car for like the next minutes. So, well, that could go two ways. It could be like
So
a really
tip of the day,
uncomfortable.
get them in your car so they can't run away when you give a really low number, right?
Exactly. It could
Okay,
get
so
a
you give
little
her the
awkward,
super. So
but
you offer 180, and then what happened?
you know, she's like, no, like that's too low. Like I was like, well, have you considered just listed it with an agent? And she's
Beautiful.
like, yes, but you know, I just don't want to do that. Like I have a tenant in the house. I was like, well, you know, if you sit with an agent, we could get more, you know. But if you want me to just say get off your hands, I can't do 220, you know. So 30 minutes go by and we arrive at the grocery store, and we're like sitting in the parking lot. And so we're at 206, and she was like, yeah, you know, think about it. I was like, listen, if I could do 206, you know, if I just buy it off of you the way it is, you don't have to touch it. You sleep whatever you want in the house. If I could do 206, is that something we could put into an agreement today? And she thinks about it, and she's like, yeah, I could do that. She's like, so I pull out my paperwork that I carry a car, and she's like, oh, we're doing this right now. I was like, yeah,
Well,
let's get out of the
you
way.
just said you would.
You said you would, so I'm not gonna try to
love it.
her down later. So I just pull out the paperwork, and we're like going through the contract, and we just sign right away and lock it up. And yeah, man.
So as soon as she steps out of your car, you're like, yeah.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, yes, I'm going. Yeah. I'm like, man, so exciting. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you get it for just over 200,000. And do you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account to flip this? How are you doing this?
Not at all, man. Hard money. I'm going through my first hard money loan, which is, nerve-wracking
for the listeners. What is a hard money that don't know what this is, right? What's a hard money loan, and how do you go get a loan for a couple $100,000 when you aren't even an experienced investor? Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's people out there, companies, individuals that will let you borrow money against an asset. So it's usually for investments. So they'll let you borrow for fix and flips and this kind of things. And it's a process. But it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna let me borrow money. I've never done this before." Yeah.
So you've already got your hard money guy or gal or whoever it is. Okay. How did you go about finding someone? So if someone wants to they found a good deal and they want to close on it to either relist it because they don't want to do the wholesale, they want to squeeze more out, or they want to close on it, do a little bit of work, and then list it. How do you go find loans? How did you do that?
Absolutely. Well, actually, I knew this guy from Facebook, one of the investor groups, because I'm active on there, and he's always active as well, and he's also a flipper. So I had sent him deals before. He hadn't bought any off of me, but I knew he worked with a hard money lending company. So I gave him a call. I'm like, hey, I got this deal. I'm interested in taking it down. Would you look at it and let me know if it's something you will be willing to loan on? And he's like, yeah, man, absolutely. Like, let's get you set up. He got me set up with his real estate agent who's gonna list it, and she's awesome. He's hooked me up with some contacts for some of the subs. It's like, oh, if you need staging, I got you. If you need a painter, I got you. Like, so it's been awesome, because I got the contacts. I got the money, I got the listing agent, so everything I feel is gonna be good, And the house doesn't need any major repair, so
well, I highly doubt you'll lose any money on the deal, right? Like you got such a big spread. What a cool property to learn on, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they learn on properties, if they make any mistakes, they're going to lose money, right? And if a really experienced investor would probably do okay, or experienced flipper, I should say. But it's going to be pretty hard to lose on this deal, but it's going to be fun because you get to learn. Even if you don't make as much profit as you could if you were more experienced, this is a great way to get experience. My uncle always said, earn and learn, young man, earn and learn. So you're earning and learning at the same time. And it's super exciting and fun. And so, man, that's such a fun story, such an awesome story. So I'm going to ask you one quick question before we end this. I hope the listeners have taken notes and they've learned and grown and they're excited to go out and be successful for themselves. What would Helbert, now the experienced wise Helbert, tell the Helbert that was just learning and just getting started? What advice would you give?
Man, the most important thing, it sounds a little bit cliche, but it's taking action. I don't know if you got anything from this call, and I struggle with this sometimes because there's days where you feel like you're just hitting a wall. You call people and everybody is telling you to go die, or don't call me again. It feels like nobody wants to sell you anything, and you're like, man, this doesn't work, But then you call that one person who actually wants to talk to you, and they're motivated and they want to sell you a house on terms, and it happens, you just gotta pull every day to get to the moment. And once you get to the moment, it's super exciting. It's crazy the amount of opportunities out there. You just have to find them. They're out there. This is a real business. Because the first time I heard about wholesaling, I thought it was a scam.
That's I think real. Everyone does, right? Well, there's that saying, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Exactly.
But it's like, Well, it is too good to be true, but it's legit. It's true.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It takes a lot of work, but it's a real business. And you can always hit up
Love it.
Zack, who's an awesome mentor and has a great coaching program.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, your Driving for Dollars program has definitely helped me. Finding a driver, game changer, man. And with the
For
system,
sure.
it's super awesome, man. Yeah.
For sure. Well, driving for dollars in itself has made you
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money. I mean, just the equity you have in the house you're
Mm-hmm.
living in now,
That is true.
plus, and that you control that asset and you can add more value with, putting more people in there. The tiny house idea, like, you have that, and then this potential flip, and then it's a process. It's information. It's something that and understand that no one can ever take from you. You can
Absolutely.
lose all your money. You could lose the two assets you now have, or all the money you make from these two assets. But guess what? You'll have that knowledge forever. You'll have that skill set forever, and that
True.
confidence that money is actually really easy to make. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It really
Yeah.
is not hard to make money. And like, that is my goal as a mentor, is to give you those tools and that confidence and that excitement for life and for entrepreneurship. So I consider myself successful, but I am so grateful to be a small part of your journey. Congratulations to you. Right. And your advice is to take massive action, and you obviously have, because of the results you have. So congratulations to you. Very, very grateful for you, and proud
Thank
of
you
you.
so
I
much,
really am.
Zach.
Super
Yeah,
awesome.
so happy to be
So
here. Thank you.
for sure. One more quick thing. If someone wants to reach out to you, ask you
Mm-hmm.
questions, maybe even ask about the mastery program that you're a part of, can they reach out to you, and how would they do that?
Absolutely. Anytime. I will actually give you my number. They can text me or also hit me up on Facebook.
Okay.
My number is, I don't know, 503-863-8144. Feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call. I'm also on Facebook as well. And my name is Helbert, Helbert, Ruiz. And you'll see me on there. I'm in Portland, Oregon, so feel free to shoot me a message. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm an open book. I'll be always happy to help, because I love when you reach out to people like Scott, awesome guy, or Thomas, other people that are in the group, and they're super helpful, always willing to give you a hand. I will do the same. So
Love
let's
it.
do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I just want to touch on that real quick. So the two names he
Mhm.
dropped, Thomas and
Mhm.
Scott, and even
Mhm.
Justin, who's Scott's brother, they're all in the same markets doing deals, right?
Mhm.
They're all
Oh yeah.
students of mine, and they're all networking and helping each other, right? And I have
Mhm.
same thing all across the country, like Louisville, Kentucky. I've got multiple investors there crushing it, and they're working together. And one of my new students just wholesaled a deal to one of my existing students, because he was going to flip it, and they're both
Which is
making well
awesome.
over 20-25 grand each on those deals, because they were able to work together. So there is no competition in this business, just collaboration. We all can be successful. There's a ton of opportunities. So take action. Go ahead and reach out to Helbert if you have any questions. Also, if you guys would like to become a student of the Mastery Program, feel free to book a call and apply. I do not take everybody. I do have some requirements before I will take you on as a student. So you have to fill out the questionnaire and book a call. Go to my website at dfdmastery.com to be able to do that. But again, Helbert, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all the listeners, and we'll see you on
Thank you
the
so
next
much, Zach.
episode. Thank you,
Sounds good.
brother.
Bye.
So guys, we just finished this thing, but I want to add in some more content. So Helper just said something. Tell me what you just told me, because we have to have, like, we got to add this in as a bonus clip.
Absolutely.
So,
well, one of those things is that, I like to write down my goals and kind of like the things that I want to attract in my life. And one of those things was one, I want to buy a house, which seemed like too far-fetched. I was like, I don't qualify for a bank loan. So I was like, okay, I don't know when that's going to happen, but I want to buy a house and I want to do a flip. And then all of a sudden these opportunities appear, right? And 3 months into the business, now I own a house and I live in it. And it's just crazy. Like, it's like all of a sudden you start attracting these things, and yeah. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do, right?
What else can I write down? Let's go for it.
Let's go bigger, right?
It's like, man, I've been shooting too small. Like I've been aiming too low, right? So let me explain why this works, right? A lot of people call it like the secret, and they make it this magical thing, and it's much simpler than this. So I was reading this book. It was a psychology book. I love psychology because really it all starts in our heads. And so if we can understand how our brains work and how we're wired, we can really wire our, change the wiring in our brain to get success. So anyways, I'm studying this book, and I don't remember what the part of the brain, I don't remember the term, right? It's some complicated name. If I said it, y'all wouldn't remember it anyways, right? We'll just say this. There's a part of our brain that subconsciously is filtering all the information we're seeing. Right? We're seeing all these colors and sounds and there's constant stimulation, right? Like there's cars passing by and there's light shining and then all this out of nowhere, and you're like, oh shit. And you completely forget about everything other than that situation and how to survive. Because your brain is always searching, scanning subconsciously what is the most relevant information that the subconscious brain needs to know about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we start to see it everywhere, right? And it's like that vehicle was already everywhere, but all of a sudden our subconscious brain goes, hey, Zack is really interested in this. So I'm going to tell his conscious brain, hey, there it is. Right. And so when we write down a goal and we actually think about it and we obsess over it and we read it every day and we see it every day and we put it all over in our house and we literally that's all we can think about and obsess over. All of a sudden our brain's scanning information and it goes, hey, that could help you with that goal. Hey, hey, here's an opportunity. And so when you wrote down those goals and you said, oh, wow, this mentor teaches this mentor teaches this. Oh, that's exactly what I need. Oh, on top of that, this is what I need to do. And all of a sudden doors started opening that were never there before because you were your subconscious brain was looking for them. And then all of a sudden you hit your goal and you're like, holy shit, that was magical. But really, it's a very simple process. Our brain, our subconscious brain is just as powerful, if not more powerful than our conscious brain. And so
true. So true, man.
So true. So man, that's why we write down goals. Yeah, that's why we write down goals. That's why we obsess over what we would like to accomplish. That's why we build our dream life here. And not just money, okay? Don't make it shallow. It's not just money, but it's like, who do we want to spend the rest of our lives with? Do we want a partner? What do we want that partner to be like? What do I want my children to get from me? Like, what do I want? What is my legacy when I die? Who do I want to become? Who do I want to help? Why do I want to help them? How much money do I want to make living my dream life? How much time do I want to spend, pampering myself and going on vacation? Like, build that here, imagine it, believe it, and put it down on paper and go and make it happen. So super cool thing. I hit stop recording and we started chatting. As I said, we gotta hit the record button again.
Hit record again. Yeah, man.
Good
and it's crazy, man. Like, this business has completely shifted my perception of money. Because before, thinking about 30, 40,000, it just seemed like it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot, like a whole year to make that.
Yeah,
but you can
average
make
income
that
is $40,000 per American.
Yeah, man. And now when you look into the world of real estate and wholesaling, it's like people make that in a deal, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing this whole time? I'm like, man, you always wish you had started earlier, but now we're here, and just gotta keep going. Yeah, it's super exciting, man.
Well, the beauty of it is now we find so much gratitude because we did live a portion of our lives without it, right? And we recognize what a blessing it is and how important it is to be good stewards of that money and to live with love and charity and kindness to those that haven't learned ways to provide financial freedom for themselves. And so, I'm so grateful for that decade of washing windows and struggling, right? Because that story, going from that to this, right, it means so much to me. And I often have to close my office door and cry by myself because I'm so full of gratitude, especially after calls like this and talking to my students. So what an awesome call. Guys, watch this episode. It is fire. So good stuff.
Thank you so much, Zack. So happy to be here.